Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Planet Tyro with your host, Donald Wonder, for our Lupin 2016 animated retrospective coverage. It's the Year of Lupin! Yes, guys, last time on the playlist, we covered the Fuma conspiracy. Click on the screen for the link to if you want to watch that previous one, or click on the YouTube card in the top right corner. You'll see an eye there and you can check out the previous recordings and the future recordings. But let's not hesitate, let's move on to the next movie in the franchise, 1989's Goodbye Lady Liberty, aka Bye Bye Liberty, which is actually a TV special. So let me just clarify something, which I should have clarified in the introduction video. As well as the movies, I'm going to be covering the TV specials for Lupin the Third, because to me, anything over 50 minutes to an hour, I'm classing as a movie. So there's some OVAs and there's some stuff that they don't class as feature movies, and they're more related to the universe of the TV series, but I'm just calling them movies, and that's why I'm covering everything on Lupin. So for those of you who just, oh, this is a special, this isn't a movie, I'm classifying anything over 50 minutes as a movie, just for future reference. So 1989's Goodbye Lady Liberty, aka the Bye Bye Liberty Crisis TV special. Okay, so this is actually one of the Lupin movies that I hadn't seen before. This is my first time watching this movie, as I have seen a few of them before, but this one I hadn't. And as a special bonus, I did manage to get an English dub version of this. Can't say what studio or production company got the English dub, but it was adequate. It wasn't that bad. There was some good parts, some bad parts. I'll elaborate a bit more on that in a minute. But you guys want to get on with the movie discussion, so why don't we start with the plot? So the plot to this movie, it actually starts out when Lupin is breaking into a police station, or Interpol, one of the big police investigation houses, and he's stealing all this data they have on him. He's stealing all this information on him because apparently he finds out they've got so much information on him, they can actually start to predict his crimes in future, which kind of makes no sense at all, but we'll return. So after he steals all of the information Interpol has on him, he decides he wants to retire, because he just figures out that, look, so many different companies, so many different agencies have copies of my thievery over the years. There's nothing I can do to surprise anybody, which is kind of flaky reason to stop. It doesn't even make any sense, as I said before. But anyway, so when the movie starts, 10 minutes later, he's just in an apartment watching TV, and he's given up the life of crime, which was an interesting twist. Jigen comes to visit him like, come on, Lupin, you can't be giving up. He's like, nah, I'm giving up. And he's got a new girlfriend, this blonde woman, you never see her face, and that's it, Lupin's out of the picture. Jigen's trying to do something, and Goemon is on some quest to sort of self-discovery, and Fujiko, as usual, she's shacked up with some rich guy trying to extort him, was trying to steal the jewels, but we all know Fujiko somehow ends up back with the Lupin main storyline, and that's no different here. So basically, later in the movie, Jigen is trying to steal this diamond that he's found out about, this diamond that's hidden in the Statue of Liberty. Lupin finds out that the life of being homely or giving up fever, he just can't do it, and his girlfriend cheated him anyway. So it starts out being an adventure about getting this diamond from the Statue of Liberty, and how it's all tied to some cult who also want to get their diamond for whatever reason. That's basically it. Lupin and Fujiko and even Goemon is kind of having a romance story on the side that is going to lead to them all coming towards this diamond and this cult, and it all comes together in one big, gigantic gathering of sorts. Alright, so we'll get back to the storyline. Let me get to some of the other aesthetics, like the animation. So the animation for this movie, it borders from very good to lacking. It kind of fluctuates. Firstly, the animation style is more faithful to the TV series, and maybe it's because it's a TV special, not a movie. So they have the lanky character designs we see more from the TV series, and not the more Western we saw in the Castle Cagliostro or the Fuma Conspiracy. This is more typical Lupin that we're used to seeing. We can say it's more akin to the original Lupin, so that's cool. Again, the backgrounds look really nice. And overall, they do a lot of things with shadowing to make things look very film noirish. There's some scenes where people are talking and the screen is obscured in a bit of shadow. And overall, especially in the beginning, the movie looks really good. The parts where the movie kind of falls apart animation-wise is some of the heavier action scenes. It starts to look very stringy and it loses its detail and it looks kind of off. So there's a bit of inconsistency here. But overall, the animation is actually pretty good. So moving on to the sound in this movie in particular is pretty damn good. Even though I believe they took a lot of the sound from the actual TV series, I think the Red Jacket series, they used a lot of the sound from that. But very jazzy, much more film noirish in soundtrack. But Lupin always has a good soundtrack, but this time they went with a much more film noir feel, which suited the movie in the first part, but near the second part. So the characters are spread along this movie. Like I said, Lupin's quitting at first, Jigen's kind of brings it together. Fujiko, as usual, is just with some other guy. Goemon is actually one of the most interesting parts of the movie because he has like a little love interest on the side. And that ties into the story later, but it's kind of cool to see that. It's kind of fun. And then there's this little kid who's kind of a genius that's helping Lupin with some computer as well and talking about some virus. He's pretty suave. And, you know, that brings me back to the English dub. The English dub did the voice performances pretty well. I did switch from the original Japanese, which is always better. I'm just going to say this. For Lupin, I just prefer the Japanese audio, but I watch the English ones because it's just faster to digest. But the dubs are okay, the Japanese is good, the music is good, so overall that's fine. And that leads me back to the story. Yeah, so talking about the story, the story is very disjointed, and near the end, it felt like a drag. For instance, when the movie starts, the first 15 minutes, you don't even know what the movie is about. It's just Lupin going to Interpol, then not doing anything, and that's fine. It was still fun, but I was waiting for the plot. Then when you find out what the plot is, stealing this diamond from the Statue of Liberty, it's kind of run-of-the-mill. One of the things I'm going to do a little bit of nitpicking here. One of the things that, even for Lupin, I was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. That's kind of ridiculous. Lupin actually steals the Statue of Liberty. He hijacks the Statue of Liberty. And the way he does it is some Looney Tunes bullshit. Like, Lupin is always goofy, but sometimes Lupin crosses the line of goofiness to straight Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, and the way he does it is like, come on, man. You're just taking it out of the context of his own movie. But in saying that, one of the things that this movie does in particular is specialize on Lupin's gadgetry. Like in some of the other movies, Lupin isn't as gadgetry as 007, but in this movie he's got jetpacks, he's got bombs, he's got rocket shoes, he's got all these gadgets that he kind of pulls out of his arse. You don't see where they come from, and they just seem to come when he needs them. And he's even got some invisibility thing he uses to cover the Statue of Liberty. He's like, where did you get all these gadgets from? It's fun. The only reason it bothers me is just because it's super convenient, and again, it just takes you out of the movie a little bit. I know for Lupin, it's just meant to be about fun, but he's just pulling these gadgets out of nowhere, and for someone that's so aloof, it kind of stands out in the movie, especially when everyone else just had their skill set, but Lupin has a magic jacket that can pull anything out of, and we don't see that in some of the other movies. But it's fun to see the gadgets, but it's just a little bit So the story with the cult and the kid and this virus and the jewel, it was interesting at first, and the way the story is disjointed where everyone's apart, they all come together, it's fine. But what actually makes the movie fall apart is the villains, the cult. They're very weird, man, and near the end they become very disappointing. There's a lot of back and forth, and by the end I was like, okay, these villains are completely disappointing. There's a little, I wouldn't even call it a plot twist, but just something, but it's kind of foreshadowed. If you got comments that you can see it coming a mile away. I don't like nitpicking a Lupin movie because they're all kind of dumb fun. But when you base something on a heist, which is all about outsmarting people, this movie commits a few sins that with gadgets that are coming out of nowhere, bad guys that can do magic things and then they die out of it's very inconsistent. And the biggest problem I had with the movie, it went on too long. It could have been 20 minutes shorter, and it would have been an overall better movie, even with the complaints I had before. But by the end, I was like, I'm zoning out now. This movie is too long, and the ending, they tried to make it bittersweet or something. I was just like, okay, you could have seen this come a mile away. But all in all, to wrap this up, the movie is still okay. It's decent. I would still give it an okay rating, but it just was a bit too long-winded, very disjointed, but Again, it kind of reminds me of The Secret of Mamo again. Very James Bondy, especially with the gadgetry and putting things like the arse. But it's okay. It started off really good, but then it just got muddled, hit and miss, But I still think it's an okay movie. But, you know, guys, I'm being very critical. I'm looking at it with the 2016 perspective. So, you know, does it hold up? Yes and no. So what did the fans have to say? You know, the reviewers on IMDb, the My Anime List, they're just like me. They're very hit and miss on it. Some people like it, some people don't. They give it between the 5 and the 7, and I'm right there with them. It's just okay. There's definitely better. I liked even the Fumi Conspiracy a lot more than this. But, you know, it's a TV special, so I don't know. Would you put it on the same tier as a movie? They're all movies to me. But, you know, guys, it's just my opinion. And you know what, guys? If you don't like my opinion or you've got anything to say, I want to hear it. Let me know in the comments down below. So that was that. Another one in the bucket. We're going to look forward to more Lupin material, more reviews, more discussions. Hit that subscribe button if you like the content. Check out the playlist for all the other Lupin stuff we've done in the past. And until then, we'll see you in the next Lupin video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace out.